Safety cars.
Going pit lane, green flags, green flags.
So James Courtney is your leader.
Reynolds is behind him and Fabian Coulthard. So the complexion of this race changes again. It's been that kind of race. We're halfway through. Just on the other side of halfway through. Let's see if they can keep their heads cool here on this first flying lap after the safety car. They normally breed on the safety cars, and Greg Murphy really close with Will Davison.
So on our numbers here at the moment, Mark Larkin has put a lot of effort into explaining it this weekend. You'll get 18 laps out of a full load of fuel. Courtney and Reynolds last stopped on lap 21. They've been getting the benefit as Warren Luff is wide down here at 11. They've been getting the benefit of conserving fuel under the safety car, but they'll be really line ball to get to lap 43. Under the regular numbers, 21 and 18 gets you to 39, but I don't reckon you'd save 4 laps of fuel in conservation mode.
No way, absolutely no way.
A couple of guys on this restart have been very aggressive, and here they come. Lee Holdsworth and Greg Murphy. Rick Kelly has joined in, but also Stephen Johnson. The junior's got in front of Jason Bright. So he's gone back up to 5th position. The order is Courtney, David Reynolds, Fabian Coulthard, Jonathan Webb, and Jason Bargwanna's been spun off.
Car 888, Craig Lowndes, has been penalised for the driving infringement on Russell Ingall.
Judging on the time calculations, this will show what happened to Jason Bargwanna. Team Vodafone car involved in that one, and it was Jamie Whincup. There were 2 whacks in that. This might play out even further.
Well, it will, because...
So this is the first one.
Gee, he's been a punching bag this weekend, Jason Bargwanna. He got upended twice yesterday and another whack today. So Mark Dutton frustrated.
Just going back to that time.
Oh, yeah, off the road, and that's an awkward place to be, heading up the hill for Jamie Whincup.
This time critical race. It looks as though they're going to get the full distance, 43 laps, but only just.
Gee, it's on for young and old out there at the moment, because the reason Whincup made contact with Bargwanna was because Winterbottom was down the left-hand side of him. So he ended up...
Consistent, mate. Smooth and consistent. We've got a lot of people out there trying to be heroes.
That's James Moffat.
James Moffat just backing the car in behind the barriers.
Here's Winterbottom.
Down the inside of Warren Luff. Right behind him is Alex Davison with Jamie Whincup, Carl Reindler in that little pack with Paul Dumbrell as the next car. So there's James Courtney from Fabian Coulthard, Dave Reynolds, Jonathan Webb, Steve Johnson, Jason Bright, Will Davison.
And I think Bright is the best positioned car in this group. So if you look at who's who in the zoo at the moment, Bright's on lap 23 and took fuel. He's currently 6th. Those in front of him, and I'm scrambling at numbers at the moment, all, I think, too shy of the mark to get through on their load of fuel. So Bright is ideally positioned at the moment, but it will still be home on an oily rag. And you look further down the field, car 5, pit lane drive-through penalty for Mark Winterbottom. So that'll be as a result of the blend line infringement that we speculated on. And that meant, because I was going to say that Winterbottom's reasonably well positioned, but he had the question mark of the penalty over his head. He now has to serve it.
Well, let me tell you, James Courtney, Fabian Coulthard, David Reynolds and Jonathan Webb, who are positions 1 to 4, all stopped on lap 21. Stephen Johnson stopped on lap 20. So you're right, Jason Bright last time in was lap 23.
88 should get a drive through because it turned the car around as well, so just nice and smooth.
Okay, so that's what they're backing on, Campbell Little.
Where you were before you crossed into that line, I wouldn't have called you otherwise.
Yeah, so you see, he took the call from Campbell.
Just reacted to obviously the call that you said.
Showbiz.
So Courtney came in on lap 21. There's Tim Edwards. bad stop cost them yesterday. A drama in pit lane has cost them today. So Courtney leading, but he come in on lap 21.
16 laps remaining, 16 remaining.
And the safety car ran until lap 25. So he's done 4 laps under the safety car. There's a bit of conservation there, but 21 and 18 gets you to 39. It doesn't get you to 43. We're right on the cusp of it going either 43 laps or to its time certain end. But I reckon it'll run its laps on the current numbers.
Well, you're spot on about Jason Bright. He's 2 laps better than those guys in front of him or
2
around
laps
him.
better.
2 laps better.
And the benefit of the safety car. So refueled at 23, safety car completed at 25.
Oh! There goes Will Davison. You're riding with him.
Seriously, they've all been on red quarter.
Absolutely gone mad. So that was Lee Holdsworth who gave Will Davison.
Yeah, I just saw that, mate. Yeah, get it back going again.
One has done the fastest lap of the race and a new record, 57.74.
Bright and Johnson have been coming together a lot.
That was a good bit of driving by Jason Bright because he almost got Jonathan Webb.
And Johnson, by comparison, stopped on lap 20. So he didn't even really have to have a dive bomb at Stephen because strategically Jason's in a much better position. That was messy, wasn't it?
That's why he got turned around.
But he was off the road. So Will Davison was off the road and he was rejoining. So that'll be an interesting view of how the stewards determine that.
That briefing that Mark Larkham spoke about before.
Copy that, mate. Take it and just settle in, mate.
Tom, clear to everybody that when you're off the road, the obligation's on the driver for a safe rejoin. And he made a particular point about it. Because of the nature of the track here, you can straddle the lines in several places. He said, we'll tolerate it being off the road, but once you're off the road, you must exercise due caution coming back on.
Not playing out well for Ford Performance Racing at all.
So strategy-wise, this is an intriguing battle. James Courtney on lap 21. We think he can't make it to the end. So this is Lee Holdsworth coming in. Richard Holway saying we're going to fix the car, but we're also going to fix the left-hand rear tyre they couldn't do in the pit stop. Fabian Coulthard, Dave Reynolds, Jonathan Webb, and Jason Bright. Now, Jason Bright is the last of the stoppers, as Neil said before, and he is in 5th spot.
Now, Rick Kelly and Greg Murphy are in this race too, for the same reason that Jason Bright is. Stephen Johnson, I reckon, struggling. He stopped on lap 20.
And that's the one. So he's come from off the circuit across the front of Lee.
So to reiterate the point, in 5th position on the road at the moment is Jason Bright, who's now gone to 4th. He's moved up on Jonathan Webb, so he's charging. So he's not in conservation mode. When you're blazing past cars like that in Jason's car, the Team BOC Holden, you're pushing on. He's the best positioned car of those that last stopped on lap 23. Rick Kelly, who's 7th, and Greg Murphy, who's 8th in the Pepsi Max car there.
Yep. They
also stopped at that point. Here's Stephen on the inside of his former teammate, Jonathan Webb. Webb is very wide at turn 21.
2.84.
So,
Sitting at home, trying to follow this mad strategy game because there's effectively 20. Well, how many cars left on the road? 24? There's 24 different strategies being played out, folks. But put an asterisk next to Jason Bright's name. He's 4th on the road, but he's the best position in terms of trying to get to the end without having to stop again for fuel.
that was the replay of getting Jonathan Webb. That's put him into 4th spot. As I said before, Jason has got good car speed, and he was the last of those stoppers.
He's only 4 seconds off the lead of the race, Jason Bright.
So he's got to use his head here now, got to not make a mistake.
And Davey Reynolds, who's in front of him, stopped on lap 21. Fabian Coulthard, who's in 2nd place at the moment, stopped on lap 21. And James Courtney, who leads the race, stopped on lap 21. So the 3 cars in front of Jason Bright have all burned up a couple more laps of fuel, but under the safety car. So the consumption isn't as high as the numbers that Mark Larkham has been touting. There's the Brains Trust story on the left, Andrew Edwards, Phil Keed, Team BOC, and they'll be looking at their fuel numbers carefully because everybody will still have to make sure that they carefully manage their drivers and their lap speed.
But because they're not going as fast either, Neil, the pace of the race tonight is a lot slower than last night. So when you're doing late 58s and 59s, you haven't got the throttle open as long, you don't use as much fuel. And I would think that Jason Bright is genuinely the only guy who can use the car up properly.
All right, so as they come around this main straightaway here, let's take you through this positioning. So James Courtney leads the race. He will more than likely have to stop. Fabian Coulthard second. He will more than likely have to stop for fuel. David Reynolds, situation exactly the same. Jason Bright could well and truly go the distance with the fuel that he's got left in the tank. So that's the scenario at the front. There's still some racing and fighting for positions to go on mid-pack and further back.
And there'll be some bluing in the garages about the Jamie Whincup, Jason Bargwanna issue.
I think there'll be a few things that are debated after this one. I still think it was unacceptably messy early on with the whole business of cars coming out of the pit lane and the blend line and who had right of way and who didn't.
So Bright up to third. He just got Dave Reynolds under brakes. He's got good pace. Turn 8. He's got good pace.
This will be welcome relief for everybody at Team BOC at Brad Jones Racing. It's been tough for those guys in the recent past, and I know that Jason Richards will be at home watching the broadcast. It was great to see him out at the recent V8 Supercar launch and test day at Eastern Creek a couple of weeks back. And these guys need a win. They've worked hard. In fact, for a while there last year, Phil Keed wasn't going to shave until he started to see a result, and fortunately gave that plan away, cleaned himself up.
Like a caveman.
Actually, as soon as he shaved, he might be on for a win here. He was beginning to look like a caveman.
And these guys are also in good shape because Rick Kelly and Greg Murphy behind Steve Johnson there.
Car 6, Will Davison, black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty for shortcutting the circuit and then an unsafe re-entry onto the track, as predicted.
Relatively speaking, this little group here, Stephen Johnson's the worst place for fuel. Rick Kelly can more than likely go to the end, and Stevie Johnson used a lot up. He put a lot of energy into having that battle with Jason Bright. Now, Stephen was last in on lap 20.
Yeah, so he's actually worse off for fuel than Courtney.
Yeah. Now, this is exciting stuff. It will be a nail-biting finish.